You know that feeling when you're just completely stuck? Like the life you've been living, the rules you've been following, suddenly just stop making any sense? Well, today, we're going to break down a framework that's basically a map for those exact moments.
Yeah, this question, it gets at a feeling we've all had, right? That moment when the path that seemed so clear just crumbles. So what do you do when your map doesn't work anymore? You need a new one. And that's what we're doing here, offering up a new map to help you navigate that feeling of being totally lost.
All right, so where does this whole journey even begin? For most of us, it starts in a place that's probably going to feel very familiar. A life lived pretty much on autopilot. And that brings us right to stage one, external regulation. Just think about it for a second. Where does your idea of what's right or what success looks like actually come from? In this stage, that authority, it lives completely outside of you. It's defined by your job title, by what other people expect, by the whole system you're plugged into. Now, it's really important to get this. This isn't a bad place to be, not at all. People in stage one are often the pillars of our communities. They're highly capable, they're responsible, they're reliable. The system rewards them for playing by the rules, and in return, they get a real sense of structure and safety, which is valuable. But there's a trade-off. There's a hidden cost here. Because the system is already laid out what's supposed to matter, you very rarely stop and ask yourself what you truly want. And honestly, you don't even notice this cost until the system itself starts to shake. And that right there, that's the catalyst. It's the moment the old map just rips apart and your autopilot suddenly clicks off. This is stage two, disruption. It's often triggered by some big event, a layoff, total burnout, a major life change. But here's the thing, the event itself isn't really the point. It's the effect that matters. That external authority you've always relied on, poof, it collapses, and the old rules just don't apply anymore. At the very heart of this stage is this powerful idea called identity fusion. It's that deep, gut-level belief that who I am is the exact same thing as what I do. And that's precisely why disruption feels so earth-shattering. It's a direct attack on that fusion. I mean, if you are your job, and then you lose that job, who are you? It feels like the floor just disappeared. This brings us to a really powerful way to reframe this whole thing. The disruption itself, it's not the actual problem. It's just the signal. It's the loud, can't-ignore-it alarm bell telling you that your old map is officially out of date. This isn't some personal failure. It's a necessary wake-up call to find a new direction. And now we enter what is often the hardest, most confusing part of this entire journey, the in-between. It's that gray area where you've left the old shore, but you haven't reached the new one. You're no longer who you were, but you have no idea who you're becoming yet. Welcome to stage 3, oscillation. The old external compass is gone, but your own internal one, it hasn't really come online yet. So you're just stuck. You can't go back to the old way, but you don't know how to move forward. So you just oscillate. You swing back and forth, reaching for something new, then retreating back to what feels familiar and safe. And this is where we see this huge disconnect between perception and reality. From the outside, this stage can look a lot like procrastination or a lack of discipline. But what's really happening on the inside is that your sense of authority is just gone. And without it, every single choice feels dangerous, and any kind of action is completely exhausting. Trying to just push through it here is a one-way ticket to burnout. After all that struggle and oscillation, we finally get to stage 4, integration. This is where things really begin to shift. And it's not that life magically gets easier, but your relationship to it changes. You stop trying to force an answer. You stop pushing your way through the confusion. And in that space you create, release finally becomes possible. So what does this release actually look like? Well, it's about letting go. You stop demanding clarity right now. You let yourself grieve for the old self, honestly. And, critically, you allow past identities and old roles to actually end, instead of dragging them with you into the future. And this is so key. Self-trust doesn't come roaring back as some loud, flashy confidence. It returns quietly, as permission. Permission to pause. Permission to feel what you're feeling. Permission to just stop performing. This stage isn't some dramatic breakthrough. It's a quiet internal release. Once that release happens, something fundamental shifts inside you. You're ready for the final stages of this journey, the part where you're no longer guided by an external map, but by your own internal compass. And that takes us to stage 5, internal authority. This is where that authority finally comes home, inside you.
It's not about having all the answers or feeling 100% certain, it's about trust. Trust in your own pacing, trust in your own path, and trust in your decisions without needing anybody else to approve them.
This is like your new operating system in action. The number one rule: direction comes before clarity. You finally realize you don't need a guaranteed outcome or a perfect 5-year plan just to take the next right step. You can move forward into uncertainty because you finally trust yourself to navigate whatever comes.
And finally, we arrive at stage 6, contribution. Now, this isn't about forcing yourself to lead or feeling like you're obligated to help. Instead, it's the most natural, unforced result of the entire journey. Once your own foundation is stable, your life and your experiences just inherently become a resource for other people.
And this kind of contribution is fundamentally different. It's sustainable. Why? Because it's not coming from a place of urgency or a need to prove your worth. You can be visible without feeling like you're performing. Leadership becomes less about pushing and more about your presence. It doesn't drain you. It actually circulates, energizing you as it moves outward.
So from the autopilot of stage 1 all the way to the sustainable contribution of stage 6, we've walked through a pretty powerful map of personal transformation. The final question, of course, is for you to think about: where do you see yourself on this map right now?